So, convicted felon Donald Trump, which is what I will be referring to him as going forward, held a press conference this morning at Trump Tower in New York City to talk about the verdict against him yesterday in criminal court. And let me just tell you, this conference was such a disaster. Such a mess. It's pretty clear from this speech that neither Donald Trump or his campaign has a good answer as to what happened yesterday. They have no real pitch to the American people as to why they should be voting for a convicted felon. And that really showed up in this speech. So we're going to take a look at some clips from Donald Trump's press conference this morning, and you'll see just how awful it went for him. So the first clip I want to show you is Donald Trump going after the judge, saying that his witnesses were, quote, literally crucified. Yeah, take a look at the clip.
As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell.
Okay, so there's so much nonsense taking place in that clip. But first and foremost, he looks terrible. He looks like he didn't get any sleep last night. That looks like a man who's been defeated. He knows he got caught. And the other thing he said at the beginning was that his election expert witness was not allowed to testify. That's not true. They didn't call many witnesses. They called 2 people. Nobody was denied. They just chose to not call anybody. But the main thing I want to say about this clip is that Donald Trump is an expert at shooting himself in the foot. Look, sentencing for Trump is scheduled for July 11th, 10 a.m. And the judge has a lot of discretion there. They get to choose, Donald Trump's penalty. The charges he was convicted of have a 0 to 4 prison sentence that Donald Trump can face, right? They can face fine, probation, a variety of things. And that's largely in the judge's hands. So Donald Trump thinks it's a smart idea to call him a devil, say that he looks like an angel, but in practice he's just so awful, and that the judge crucified his witnesses. That's what Donald Trump is going with. That's the tactic. Yeah, he's so good at shooting himself in the foot, making things harder for himself. He just doesn't stop talking, and now he's insulting the judge, who's controlling his fate. It's like, it is so inconceivable why Donald Trump would do this, but he's doing it anyway. He's attacking the judge. He didn't come out and say, you know what, I disagree with the verdict in the case, will be appealing, and that's all I have to say. No, he didn't do that. He showed no remorse. He attacked the judge, attacked the trial, which are all things that the judge can take into account when sentencing Trump. So honestly, Trump, keep going. Keep showing no remorse. Keep pushing out these lies. The judge will handle him come July 11th. And also saying that your witnesses were literally crucified. I mean, I have no idea what planet this guy is living on, but it's certainly not Earth. So the next clip I want to show you is Donald Trump saying that he wanted to testify in the trial, that he wanted to get up there on the stand and tell the truth. But of course, he had an excuse for that. So take a look at the clip.
I've testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong, and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there? And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case, because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out.
Yet again, another example of Trump's incoherent rambling during this speech. It really seems like he's learning the law in real time. He's like, well, the prosecutors could have asked me about my past. They could have asked me about operations within the Trump organization. Yeah, yes, absolutely. That's how testifying works. That's how cross-examination work. You can go and ask people their past about certain things pertaining to the case. They weren't saying, hey, Donald Trump, where were you on July 10th, 2008, and what meal were you having that day? It's like, no. They're asking you about things that pertain to the case. And by the way, the prosecutors argued in favor of some of these things, and Trump's lawyers also argued against some of these things. So there was proper deliberation, due process, and all that good stuff. But again, nonsense. Donald Trump himself could have testified. He could have taken the stand. He has the constitutional right to testify in his own defense, and he chose not to. He chose not to get up there. Why? Well, probably because it would have gone very badly for him, and his lawyers were probably begging him to not get on the stand. It just would have made their lives so much more difficult. But Trump could have got up there if he wanted to. He is the defendant. He makes the final call, and he chose not to because he's scared. He says, I have nothing to hide. I only want to tell the truth. And then he runs away from testifying. The defense ended their defense of Trump by not calling him. So spare me this garbage that he didn't want to get up there and that, he would have been sued or held accountable for perjury if he said that the weather was bad. No, if he said that the weather was bad when it was good, that's no problem. But if he said, this check is fake or this audio is fake and he knows it's not, or he just blatantly lies and they catch him in that lie, you should be held accountable for perjury. And I find it funny that he's worried about being held accountable for perjury because he knows that he just can't stop lying. That's all he does. Lie, 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 lie. That is the Trump playbook. It's what he does every single day of his life. So, yet again, I say this all the time, but just utter nonsense from the convicted felon. From convicted felon Donald Trump spewing utter garbage that his base will eat up, they love, and they'll say, oh, Judge Merchan was so unfair, George Washington couldn't even testify. Yeah. But it's all lies. So look, the last clip I want to show you is actually nothing of substance. Donald Trump is not making a specific claim. He's just rambling, and it makes absolutely no sense. Like, please watch this clip and then comment down below if you know what he's saying here, because I certainly don't. Take a look at the clip.
Bragg's people protested, and the judge knocked him out, said you can't testify. He actually said you can't testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that. But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case.
What? What is he saying there? Does anybody have a Trump translator for me that we can put that in and find out what he's talking about? Because that is just utter nonsense. Like, he went from 12 different points in the matter of 40 seconds. His brain is just all over the place. This is a man who is very clearly rapidly declining. And when I see that clip, I am genuinely concerned for his health. I'm genuinely concerned. Compare that to him in like 2016. And this is an entirely different Donald Trump we're dealing with in 2024. This is a man who is not well. He is not fit to serve. And that clip really shows it. He's just all over the place, making stuff up on the spot. His election expert witness was denied. Not true. Completely false. He's making stuff up on the spot. That he could have called more people. They chose not to. They chose to rest with 2 witnesses. And one of them went terribly, Bob Costello, the guy who got admonished by the judge on the stand because he was acting inappropriately in the courtroom. They could have called more people, and nobody was denied. But Donald Trump is just lying about this. And he's also saying that the prosecutor's witnesses were being salacious. He stumbled over that word a couple of times. Doesn't really know how to pronounce it, I suppose. But the funny thing is that a lot of these witnesses that the prosecution called were some of Donald Trump's best friends, like buddies that he had. David Pecker, Hope Hicks, of course, Michael Cohen, who served at the Trump Organization for around a decade, I believe. So he's calling all of these people salacious and stumbling over the word while doing it and saying that he couldn't call witnesses. It's just not true. I mean, that clip is concerning. I think any rational American can watch that and say, yeah, this guy's lost a step. He is, I don't think, in my view, that he is fit to serve in the Oval Office. And look, the last thing I want to say about all of these clips, and then we'll wrap up, is that does Trump think that this is going to convince any American? Like, he is the first president ever, first former president to be a now convicted felon. That is a huge title to have. It's history, and he was found guilty on every single count against him. And does he think that by going up there and attacking the judge, lying about the case, which is obviously disprovable, and rambling in this manner is going to change anybody's mind? Of course not. The American people are looking at this guy and identifying him correctly for the lunatic that he is. And this speech did not move the needle at all. Matter of fact, I believe that people who are watching this, who are kind of on the fence, probably leaned more toward Biden, or at least not supporting Trump because of this press conference. I think he did himself a great disservice by doing this. So anyway, that was Donald Trump's disastrous press conference. Really didn't go well. I'll wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes such a long way. Also drop a like on the video and please comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. I'm excited to hear from you. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you and have an amazing rest of your day.